Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Diekmann. I am the MSP consultant here for ProVal, and today's Tech Tuesday, what we're going to be digging into is kind of just a general invoicing flow. A lot of times we get questions on, or not even questions, let's just say my accounting team, my bookkeeper, my accountant, they don't like the idea of having my PSA push or do anything with invoices over there. So what we're doing is we're keeping invoices in there. We are kind of working them, but then what we do is we take our dollar amounts and we give them to our bookkeeper, or we manually enter them into QuickBooks. And a lot of that, I'll just be honest, comes out of a fear of we don't know what it does. So let's just kind of talk about that high level. I'm going to use QuickBooks as the example. QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online kind of work pretty similarly. I'll talk about some high level differences. To start this off, number one, the only thing that gets pushed over is going to be an invoice that gets created inside ConnectWise. Now, there are some innate things that can potentially happen. So, understanding a couple things here is that the invoice gets matched to your QuickBooks simply by your account ID. So inside the company finance, whatever account ID here needs to match QuickBooks so that it knows that when Alex's burger joint invoice gets pushed over, that it knows which company to attach it to. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, once we have and make sure that those are confirmed, then it's really only going to be when we sync invoices to go over. Now, the invoices inside ConnectWise will have a lot more detail in terms of the invoice, the billing structure, the detail that's included from the ticket, and then also by default breakdown of time entries. So it's going to have good information. Now, when it comes over, it's going to be some type of a truncated version. It will have a lot of detail, but it's not going to have potentially all of the same detail. Now, this also holds true if somebody is sending invoices from ConnectWise and then just taking that dollar amount and recreating an invoice and that number to receive the payment over in QuickBooks. The only step we're really missing at that point is just let the invoice go over there and create itself inside QuickBooks. It's not going to do anything crazy. It's not going to go whack. And you can also delete the invoice if it's not good, and you can always fix it in ConnectWise and push it back over. So let's just kind of talk about some high level pieces on that setup. So looked at the account number. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the general ledger. We have our accounting package. If it's QuickBooks Desktop and you have a file path, you're going to have this setting right here. And then you're simply going to copy and put your file path in right here. Now, if you go into your QuickBooks Desktop, you do Control-1, I believe, you're going to see a window pop up with a box, and then about in the middle of the box, there's going to be a file path. That is literally the file path that you put in here. And the only caveat to having desktops, desktop or enterprise, whatever they're calling it now, is you have to have ConnectWise PSA Manage installed on the computer that has the file so that you can log in and you can do that sync. So that's one of the caveats on using QuickBooks. Now, if you're using QuickBooks Online, you're actually going to use Other. A little strange, but we're going to use Other. That eliminates this accounting package path. And then what you're going to end up doing is using some type of a third-party tool like Connect Booster or alternate payments or let's see, and then ConnectWise, of course, has WiseSync and WisePay. So you're going to have to use some type of a service to have those things sync back. Now, the only thing that syncs back from QuickBooks is going to be payments. So down here, you see sync payment info from accounting package. You see the sync wise payments. Most of these settings will be on the tool that you're using to sync it. And that's why I'm just for right now, I'm going to switch this back to QuickBooks, leave it here. So in that case, then we have the ability to sync those payments back. But that's really the only pieces of information that are going to happen. Now, all of this is driven simply from our GL accounts. So just setting those pieces up doesn't automatically push over our invoices. In fact, if we tried, it would throw a bunch of errors. We need to have account numbers to tell those different items that are on the invoice, where do we want those items to go? So in this case, just kind of breaking this down, we have our revenue, which is labor. Revenue agreements is the front of the agreement. It's not the additions. The additions are revenue agreement products. So these are two different numbers. Now, just for sanity's sake, let's just go here into agreements real quick, just so you can see the difference on the numbers. And I think it's a good distinction. So in here, I open up an agreement. This number here is revenue agreement. Billing amount comes through as a simple line item, $50,000. It doesn't have any description, doesn't have any other items on here. Additions. So if we popped in let's just do managed service. Let's say managed workstations. Here we go. We have a total of 25 workstations at a unit price of 65 per. This is going to be and I'm glad I added that on for a reason, because you see it's our managed workstation. It's underneath a product category of managed services. This is our revenue agreement products. So when I pop back in here, that's what these two things are. Revenue product, obviously any type of product breakdown that we're looking at that goes onto either a sales order, a project ticket, or a service ticket. All of those items, or even technically a miscellaneous invoice. Anytime we have a line item of a product, that's what it's going to follow for a revenue product. And then what we also did is we did a special labor product mapping for labor revenue to match where our normal labor revenue is if we ever have to use a product for labor billing. Sometimes we do in terms of subcontractors, or if we're billing off of a sales order and we're pre-billing labor before we do the actual work. This is a good way in which we can make sure that the client gets what the information they need and it goes into the proper account for us. Now, be off a little bit inside of ConnectWise, but it'll be proper in your QuickBooks, which is ultimately the authority on your numbers. And then, of course, we have our sales tax payable. One little note on the sales tax payable, which is actually kind of a good thing to kind of look at. I come into here and I go into, oops, wrong one, tax. Just another little pro tip if you don't like having crazy looking invoices. By default, a lot of times these are going to have, let's see, oh, here we go. They're going to have all of these levels. Now, what you can do is you can actually, if you only have one or two levels, you can delete these levels down. And in this case, let's say we only have one. That will clean up the way your invoice looks as well. We're going to take a look at that real quick. So all of this setup stuff, all of this pulls into simple invoices, right? So if we go into an invoice, I picked the wrong one there. Let's pick, here we go. Let's just grab one of these invoices. The GL entries is what maps all of these things out, right? So here's all of our account numbers that it needs to go to. Now that sales tax thing that I did, that cleans all of this up to maybe down one or two lines, but we're simply just matching it here. Now, what I didn't talk about in the GL mapping is if we're dealing with inventory and cost of goods sold, those are all just simple GL setup pieces. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole just yet, but we can account for all of those. So if you have inventory parts, high level, your inventory is going to be managed in here. The only thing that's going to go over to QuickBooks with most tools nowadays is going to be your inventory assets. So it's going to be a group amount of, let's say, $50,000, what you have in products. As those products are sold, it will hit that inventory mapping and it'll pull that out as a cost of goods sold, and then it'll decrement your 50 grand. In ConnectWise is where you're going to get the breakdown of what do we actually have in stock, where are those things, how many items, all of that. So you really would be using those tools together to make sure that we're managing our procurement and our inventory. But again, those are just the high level pieces. Now, if we are using QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, excuse me, you're literally going to come in here. We're going to create a batch ID. Most of the time, it's going to be something like, and then we could put in an I for invoices, or we could put a PO for purchase orders. And all we're simply doing is we're just creating a batch ID, right? And then we sync those items over, and then they simply fall into our batches. Right. And then if we open up this batch, then we can see we had some purchase orders in this batch, but it could also be invoices. Now, the next question becomes, okay, we feel a little bit better now that it's simpler. It's a simpler form, it doesn't seem so hard to push these invoices over. And think of it this way. If you're already creating the invoice or people are doing the work in here, it's just a matter of literally manually coming into invoicing. Select the items that we want to create the invoice for. So in this case, I'll just check this. I hit create invoice. We'll say yes. Now we've got our invoice. Once this invoice is created, we actually don't even have to do anything here. We go into our invoice batch emailing. So here's the gold. I create the invoice, go to invoice batch emailing. I literally come in here, I check the box, I hit send now, and then boom, those invoices have been sent out. This was the most recent one that I did. If I don't want to send them out this way, I can come in here, I can remove them from the emailing list, and I can still batch them over to QuickBooks. Now, the only requirement to batch them to QuickBooks is that they must be closed. So if I come into our accounting interface, and again, I'm using QuickBooks as the example, QuickBooks Desktop as the example, because we have a little bit more granularity here. But you would see these as well for QuickBooks Online. These are the pending invoices waiting to be sent over, right? So once these have been sent, they have to be in this closed status, right? So if I'm looking here, we've got closed, but that other invoice that we just created, which let me just come back here. So here's the most recent invoice. You'll notice it's new. As soon as I come into this, and let's just say, let's pretend I did send it. What will happen when you do use that batch invoice emailing? So when I send it from here, it automatically, the system knows to send it to closed emailed. Oh, perfect. Here's the perfect example of the account number. So we don't have it in here. I'll just put it in here and we'll close that. Now I can close that invoice. So the system won't even let you close the invoice if you don't have that, assuming that you can't send it anywhere. This unlocks the GL entries. Let that load for a second here. Here's where it's all going. Then when I come back to my accounting interface, if I hit search here, now we've got that invoice here. So that's what causes it to come over here. Now, I do not have to send it. And in fact, if you've been doing and using ConnectWise for a long time, you could have hundreds of invoices in here ready to be sent. Let's say, oh my gosh, I can't send, we don't want to send these two because these were from way, way, way before. I can come in here, I can remove the records. It does not delete them. I'm just going to say it's an old invoice. It just removes them from trying to be synced over to QuickBooks, right? So that's all we're doing is we're cleaning up this screen. But from an accounting perspective, it will make everybody's life easier. If the work's being done here, you're tracking it correctly, the invoices are getting created or getting to the point where we can just create the invoice. Once we've created them, we come here, we put in a batch, and this would be, instead of export, would actually say sync, right? And so when we actually sync that invoice, then that's going to push it over to QuickBooks. If there are any issues, it actually gives us a little error message and lets us know what the issues are. Most of the time, it may be an improper GL mapping, things like that. But we kind of gave a high level on all the different pieces that we're looking at. So again, if you're scared to pull that trigger on invoicing, you're unsure, let us know. We're more than happy to help you out with that. But in general, it's not a very complicated process. And in many cases, the remarks that we usually get is, I don't know why we waited this long. I don't know what we were so scared of. And if it just takes a little education with your accounting team, your bookkeeper, however it is, they'll find that it can be a lot easier too. So again, thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you again soon. And don't ever hesitate to reach out for extra help.